Hi, welcome. I'm Danny from Wellness with Danny. And I think you also today have Poppy's head in shot. We are today going to work with our Crescent Lunge. So Crescent Lunge is a pose that's come up in a few classes in the last couple of weeks where I really noticed that people can find it quite hard to balance in Crescent Lunge, particularly when we start doing extra things with the arms, moving gaze, which really challenges the balance. So I thought I'd give you here today some alignment cues for Crescent Lunge, also some little tips to maybe build your strength in Crescent Lunge and build up that balance, and a few of the key things which, if you can get the feet and the legs in the right position, will help your balance. So we'll get started. I have a couple of yoga blocks which I'm going to use to demonstrate. If you have these, great, because they can help build up your strength and your alignment in the posture. If you don't have blocks, some bricks to just help lift the hands slightly off the floor can help. So we're going to start with the left foot forward and the right foot back. So first of all, I'm just going to start with quite a short stance. I'm going to bring my hands to my hips. So the first thing here is the position with the feet. So I want to try and get all the toes to point straight forwards. And in this shorter stance, I can kind of bend, have a little look at what's happening with my back foot. So if I just turn to the front, so what I see quite often, instead of having this back foot where you're on the ball of the foot, and you can see my heel is kind of in alignment with the ball of my foot and my toes. Quite often, without being aware, we end up with a slightly twisted foot. So the heel is splaying in and the toes are kind of slightly pointing off to the side. Now when you then come into the Crescent Lunge with the foot in that alignment, it's a lot more wobblier. So start with a short stance and just check what your back foot naturally does. And if it does splay in, try and change it to the other position. Just feel what that feels like in the leg and the foot. So then we're going to come forward into a longer stance to start to get into our Crescent Lunge. Now this is where the bricks can come in useful. So you can bring your hands down to the bricks to help bridge the gap between your hands and the floor. And we're going to walk that left foot forward and start to bend into this left knee. So when you start to bend into this knee, the alignment cue here is this front knee over the ankle. So if I move that block out of the way, you can see that knee is over the ankle. Now, if instead you've taken a long stance and your knee is behind the ankle, it's a lot wobblier. So you might then have to shorten your stance to get the knee over the ankle. So I'm just going to go back a little bit longer because I find it easier to balance there. And I'm going to take the knee over the ankle. I'm checking back at my back foot, that alignment of the back foot. Next, I'm going to check how far apart my feet are in terms of width across the mat. So if your feet are on a tight rope, this is going to be really tricky to balance. So you want to have your feet, think about train tracks, and they're hip width apart. And this knee over ankle again, checking in with the alignment of my back foot. Now I'm using the bricks here to take some of the weight through the hands. Now to try and start to come up. So it may be you're pausing here for a while as you build the strength in the legs to feel comfortable in this position. When we start to want to come up, my next little, I suppose, trick for you, thing to try, is rather than just suddenly lift the torso up, with the hands on the bricks, push the feet into the floor, so the ball of the back foot and the heel pushes back, and the front foot, that foot, push it into the floor, and see if you can just lift the hands off the bricks for a couple of moments, and then you can drop them back down. So you can practice here this pushing into the floor with the feet and lifting the hands. Now once you feel you've got to that point, you can then see if you can lift up, and maybe the hands come to the front thighs. You start to lift the torso up. The other position is bringing the hands straight to the hips, so you kind of feel like you've got something to hold on to. And then when you feel you have the balance here, then the arms might reach up to the ceiling, the shoulders drop down, the hands are active. So I'll just come out of that leg for a moment. It's getting a little bit tired. So I wouldn't necessarily hold it for that long when you're building up. I would say come in, find your position, feel that alignment through the feet, the pushing down, take a few sets of seeing if you can lift your hands and then come out again. Maybe do that on the other leg. And then when you're ready, you can then practice that next step of either lifting the hands to the thigh or lifting the hands to the hips as you lift the torso up. And then releasing the hands to the ceiling when you're ready. So just a couple of other little points to be aware of here. When you're lifting that torso up, try and think about a long spine. So if we're slouching and floppy through the top, we've got less control. So if we can think about the lengthening the crown of the head away from your tailbone, so as you come up, your torso is engaged to help support you. And when you arrive, keep lifting the crown of the head to the ceiling. So we're trying to lift up through the torso, which helps take some of the weight out of the legs. Obviously, practice on the other side as well. So that's my little kind of snapshot of building up in your crescent lunge. And once you really feel that you've got that comfort and ease in your crescent lunge, well, it's always strength work going on, but you feel that you've got your balance, you can then start adding on different arm movements to try and challenge the balance. So bring in twists. Maybe there's catching of arms, opening of chest, so that you can play with this stability and this strength through the legs whilst bringing in that challenge to your balance. If you have any questions on your crescent lunge, please feel free to get in touch with me. And I really hope that video has been useful in helping you find your balance and your crescent lunge. Thank you.